Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to ProMinds Academy. My name is Gideon, and I'm glad to see everyone here today. And happy Monday to everyone. So, today we have a new and interesting subject. I don't think we're going to finish everything today, but I know by next week we're going to cover all the, technical and practical part of it. So, but this topic I want you to follow it, and we're gonna share the slide at the end of the course. You might be thinking, why do I need this? Why do I have to know about this, subject or this topic? Trust me, people pay between 15 grand to 20,000 to $50,000. So this will help you whenever you're planning to embark on any project. Okay, this is called Integrated Investment Appraisal. So this is gonna help you to know if if the project is financially or fiscally sustainable. Is the project economically worthwhile? This is gonna help you, and it's gonna give you more information to equip you before you embark on any project. Trust me, if you have this information, this is gonna help you. Maybe you wanna start a small project or a big project. So instead of paying 15 grand, 20 grand to people, so you can actually collect all this information and use that and apply those information on your project, and believe me, you are gonna stand out. Your project is gonna stand out. So without taking much of our time today, so the presenter for today is Yodi Abebe. So she's the one who's gonna be presenting this topic to us today. So let's welcome Yodi. So over to you, Yodi. Welcome. And before we start, just for public awareness, this project is not related to cash flow or miracle cash more. It's a personal project between me and Yodi, which is called Pro Minds Academy. So Yodi, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken, for delivering what you promised me. He promised me actually over the week he's gonna do mad introduction, and this is what happened right now. Thank you again, and
Thank you.
again, welcome everybody. So why we choose this topic, as Ken said, is it's very important to actually identify the business that you are working in, or the business that you want to invest is like, is it worth it? Is it bad project or good project? It's also prevent from a good project being destroyed. So we will start from the objective. So the objective of this this investment appraisal topic is to stop bad project or bad policies. Then the second one is prevent a good project from being destroyed. The third one is determine if components of project are consistent, assessing the source of and magnitude of risks, and determine how to reduce risks and efficiently share risks. We also have two tools. The first tool is cost-benefit analysis and cost-effectiveness analysis. So we use this tool, but it's technical, which we're gonna look at this next class. Yeah. So what are the questions addressed by Integrated Investment Appraisal? The first question is this project financially or physically sustainable? We need to understand if the project that we're working on, the project or we're going to invest, if that is financially or physically sustainable. The second question that addressed this Integrated Investment Appraisal is this project economically worthwhile? We will look at to it financially, and secondly, economically. And the third one is, who are the stakeholders? How are they impacted, and by how much? The fourth one is, are poverty alleviation goals being addressed? When we do big projects, especially for instance, it could be water dam in a country, or any big project, in a country that changed economically of the country, we need to look at that. If this project alleviates or the poverty alleviation goals, it does not have the, does it work on unemployment, GDP per capita? We have to look at it that way. And the fifth one is, if I'm not mistaken, what are the source and magnitude of project's risk? We always need to look at the project risk in this. What are the risks associated with the net benefits occurring to the stakeholders? We will look at the net benefit in this, which called net cash flow. What is the personality of this project? So impact of analyzing, a proper analyzing will cause the project to be redesigned, and that's less likely to fail the project. So if we do a proper analysis in a project, it will help us to redesign whatever we're planning to do, so it will have less likely to fail. The opportunity for failing will reduce. So World Bank one time did a study, and this study shows that the probability of failure for poorly prepared project within 3 years of a project's life is 7 times that of well-prepared projects. And the next one is, what they did was, poorly prepared projects have 16 times as high probability of failure within 5 years as compared to well-prepared projects. So today, I'm actually taking this specific course. It has a lot of input in it to become the professional to evaluate projects. So when I was talking, one of big professor from Canada, he is giving us this course, and he actually studied in a Harvard Business Law as well. He's from Canada. He was telling us, like, any economic model that is, it could be manipulated by anyone. So you could do any kind of mistake that will actually prevent, the project to fail, or you just give it optimistic, view, perspective, so people will be attracted to it. So this analysis is being done properly. It matters on a project. So we have 4 integrated investment appraisal method. The first one is financial analysis. Second one, economic analysis, and stakeholder analysis, and risk analysis. So we have steps of integrated appraisal. As we said, financial analysis include cash flow statement and application of economic conversion factors and national parameters. It will measure these 2 points in financial analysis. In economic analysis, we will look at in the perspective of what does this project is giving or benefiting, and also what's the course in resource flow statement. The third one is stakeholder and distribution analysis. In this analysis, we will look at the difference between the cash flow and economic resource flow statement, identifying the stakeholder impacts. So we will look at the cycle. I have the cycle explained in the next slide. So the first thing is, what we need to look at must have a feature of an efficient PIM system. What's PIM system? Is a product information management. That's PIM, the abbreviation of it. So the first thing is initial project appraisal. So no project with satisfactory financial, budgeting plan, and positive economic performance is in the pre-feasibility study should be given the financing required to complete the feasibility stage. So all project, actually good project, must pass through pre-feasibility study and, sorry, can you mute yourself, please? So a good project must pass with 2 stages. The first one is pre-feasibility study, and the next one is feasibility stage. We will look at what's pre-feasibility and feasibility stage as well. So the next one is independent appraisal review. We need to do, after we actually do the initial, we need to do the independent appraisal review. So this independent appraisal review actually includes the line ministers or business division. It could be also a central agency, or like Ministry of Planning or independent senior management committee for the specific project. The other one is we need to do project selection. We need to have option for the different project that we are doing. Should we do it this way? Should we do it that way? And we need to maybe have 3 options for it. So we need to then, after we do this appraisal, we need to select the project and also budget. Then we have the outcomes here. Integrated investment appraisal results in integrated model reflecting. So the impact of all stakeholders, including the project sponsor and financer, and the total economic value of the project. So when we look at this model that actually conduct reduce risk analysis, and also it will evaluate various contractual and financial arrangements, find the optimal timing and scale of the project, and redesign. So after we did this analysis, we will understand what is happening in the project. Should we redesign it again? So that's the view we're going to get after we took those steps. And we have incrementally of project. So when we look at project, we need to look at it with or without project. This called incrementally of project. I will show you this actually so technical, and it has a lot of explanation when we do calculation. So if I explain, it will be a little bit confusing. So we will do this on calculation. Anyway, it's explaining it here as well. So let's look at it. Incrementally of projects, then the without project scenario must be properly defined before using it as a base case from which to measure incremental benefits and costs produced with the project. So we need to look at project before the cost and after the cost. So there is two scenarios in this incrementally of projects. Then here we have project cycle for any company or any project. When we do project, we have the idea. So there was this entrepreneur was saying that to have an idea is very easy thing. Anyone can have a business idea. But when we come to implementation, that's the hardest part. So after idea, you will have project preparation and feasibility study. So this is the hardest part. So when you look at the pre-feasibility study, you need to look at market demand, technology, a lot of stuffs. Then we have project financing, then project implementation. So to get to project implementation, it's the very hardest way that you need to pass those stages, because to implement the project, you need to understand what are, the costs, the benefits in any analysis. It could be financial, economical, stakeholder. So we need to pass those stages. Then we have operation and ex post evaluation. So that's the project end. So this is what I explained right now. Then let's look at idea and project definition. When you come to idea and project definition, what are the key initial questions that idea stage? Where is the demand? As I said, we need to look at what are the demands? Where is the demand? Is this project consistent with the organization expertise, current plans, strategy for the future? Then the third one is, can the project be implemented and operated in a reasonably efficient manner? Then this is actually a definition of project. Project is defined broadly to include the scope and specification of objectives of the project. It also includes the output in different stakeholders, like economically and socially benefits. So as I said, most project data requirements have pre-feasibility and feasibility study. So what is the pre-feasibility study? So in the pre-feasibility study, let's look at the key question, because that's the most important thing. The key questions that pre-feasibility study asks is this project financially and economically feasible throughout the project's life? Are we able to fund this project, all the project's life? In the pre-feasibility study, we need to understand, are we consistent with our financing? And what are the key variables? What are the source of risks? And how can we reduce the risks? Then we have feasibility study. On the feasibility study, we have key questions. Is project financially attractive to all interested parties in activity? What's the level of uncertainty of key variables? Can final decision for approval be taken? So when we do pre-feasibility and feasibility study, we have a building blocks and analysis model. So we talked about it. We need to look at on the pre-feasibility study and feasibility, the demand, the technical part, the environmental assessment, human resource and administrative support model, then also institutional. And in analysis model, we have also financial budgeting model, an economic model, and social appraisal, or distributed and basic needs. So on demand model, as I said, we need to look at the study of like demand, nature of the market, price, and quantity. We need to know where is the demand in this project. If you are, for instance, let's say, if you are producing, something like that's not fitting the demand, if there's no any demand, you shouldn't produce at all, because you will not be able to succeed on that. So you need to find out which age group, what is your target audience, where is the demand, how much is the price, and how much is the quantity. Because when you produce something, the price and the supply actually have a direct relationship, because any price increase attracts supplier. Okay, let's minimize this. Then the next one is technical or engineering model. So let's look at the output of the model. We have technology and life of project, quantities of input by type, need for investment operation. So let's say if we compare two countries, you will see always, let's say there was this country, we were looking at Fredonia and Slovenia. We were comparing it, and Fredonia GDP per capita, which is individual income of the country, was higher than Slovenia. So we were trying to look at what are the impacts causing that. There are 5 factors causing that. We call it factors of production. The first one is capital, which is capital. We could include it as a labor. Then there's also technology. There's also investment, productivity. So in any project, we need to see the technology, because technology is one of the input. Labor is one of the input. So if we have less labor, less technology, it's likely less to be more productive in a country. So that's why most of the time, two countries have a comparative advantage. Let's say if Ethiopia is producing a lot of coffee and China is producing, let's say, a lot of bean, so we exchange instead of we trying to produce bean, because the cost of it is actually a lot, producing that bean in Ethiopia. So we do have comparative advantage. This has also broad, topic. We are not going to go that. We're not going to go there. So, and also we have environmental assessment model. The key question in this is, what are likely environmental impacts for undertaking this project? What's the most effective way of mitigating the negative impact? So in any cost, let's say accounting, we have this accounting we call green accounting. So what's this green accounting? Green accounting actually includes the effect of environment. Let's say you have a manufacturer, textile manufacturing, and you're producing and you're actually throwing a lot of chemical. And when you throw those chemicals, what are the effect of those chemicals in the environment? So the green accounting actually calculates the effects of your project in the environment. So it's the same thing on this as well. And also we have human resource and administrative support models. So what are the managerial labor needs of this project? We need to find out, does this organization have the ability to get the managerial skill needed? Let's say, for instance, let's talk about Cyprus, right? So if you talk about Cyprus, if you want to build something really big and you need a lot of labor need, it's kind of very hard to find good skilled labor in Cyprus. So we need to find out, when we're trying to implement a project, we need to find out that, do we have that labor skill that we require to have? What are the wage rates? Manpower requirement by categorizing. So these are very important when you do your investment appraisal. Also, we have institutional model. Is the entity that is supposed to manage the project properly organized, and is that management adequately equipped to handle the project? So as I said, tomorrow, let's say I will be like, okay, I'm gonna get my certificate, but you guys don't know how I got my certificate. I'll be maybe sleeping in the class or attending it. I may have a grade or not, but still I'm qualified to do so, right? So if I'm not very careful, I would do mistake to actually evaluate your project. So am I qualified in your eyes to do your project? Because the economic model can be manipulated in any way. I could use, without being reasonable, higher discount rate tomorrow. I may not consider the purchasing power parity, which is the exchange of two countries. Inflation, a lot of inputs that actually play in appraisal. So we need to actually understand that as well. Then also we have financial model. So in the financial model, we have key questions. What's relatively certainly financial variable? What source of financing will be used to cover the cost of projects? So in this, let's talk about, for instance, if we want to finance your project, and let's say you are as a country perspective and you have this dam project and you're trying to borrow money from in yen instead of dollar. So because you preferred yen because it has a lower interest rate when you pay back your loan, but you didn't consider the purchasing power parity when you take the loan, right? So what is that purchasing parity does? You don't have the knowledge to see that the yen is increasing constantly, 3% appreciating its value in a year, but you don't consider that. So that's actually an impact. So today, if you borrow money 100,000 yen, tomorrow what is the payment you're paying? It's going to be the same with the interest rate or even higher than that because of appreciation. So today's money, when we calculate it, tomorrow's money, it could be less or bigger because currencies could be appreciated and also depreciated. And we have economic model. We have key questions. What are the difference between financial and economic value for a variable? What causes this difference? And what are the degrees of certainty? Do we know values of this difference? What is the expected value of economic net benefit? So as I explained, net benefit also could be, net cash flow. When we calculate net benefit, we actually deduct from cash inflow to cash outflow. So we have the total money that we take in, then we have our expenditure, so that the difference called net benefit or net cash flow. And we have stakeholders, and there are key questions in here as well. Who are the beneficiary of the project and who bears the costs? In what way do those who benefit from the project receive those benefits, and how do those who bear the cost space? What are the basic needs of society that are relevant in the country? What impacts the project have on these basic needs? What alternative ways could the government obtain social results similar to those expected from this project? Then we have project implementation, as we talked about. That is the fourth stage. And also we do have ex post evaluation. What's ex post evaluation? We already done our initial investment appraisal. We reviewed it. We did pre-feasibility study, feasibility study. Then we implement the project. After we implement the project, ex post valuation will help us what was our determination on the previously, and what are we doing. So it's gonna measure the performance, the actual performance of project. Then ex post evaluation identified the critical variable in the design and implementation of the project that have contributed to its success or failure. So it will measure what was before, before we implement the project, then after we implement, what was our measurement and what is the actual performance currently. Then we have project with multiple components, which we're going to look at later, which is NPV, NCF, a lot of. So let's look at economic value. How do we measure economic value? In economic value, there are different factors at play. The first one is financial value. Then we have tax impact, net benefits to consumer, net labor benefits, and economic impacts. Why I'm not explaining it this because this is so technical and we have to do a lot of calculation to understand what it is. I'll just show you one later on in CF, I guess, on net cash flow. So in here, it's actually expressing the general relationship between the benefit and costs using opportunity cost. So what's opportunity cost? Opportunity cost is when you, for instance, if you have option to choose between let's say chocolate cake and tiramisu, you choose the chocolate cake. So the loss of losing the tiramisu is your opportunity cost, because when you choose one thing, there is also cost of losing the other thing. So that's opportunity cost in economics. We already talked about this, so we're gonna summarize here. what are the project decision criteria. The first one, as we talked about, is financial net present value. Then we have financial IRR. IRR means internal return rate. So there is different valuation method. There is DCF method, discounted cash flow, and there is IRR, there is MIRR. So most economics, they actually recommend we to use MIRR because it's more accurate than IRR, because IRR actually exaggerate the number on any project. We are going to look at that also later. So this three, for instance, financial NPV, financial IRR, annual DSCR, no, financial NPV, financial IRR is a project owner's view. This is a project owner view. Then when you look at as a banker view, you look at annual DSCRS and LLCRS. So what is DSCRS? I'm just gonna give you the term. It actually measures a firm's available cash flow to pay current date obligation. That's a banker view. Then we have also limited liability on LLC here. Then also we have country view, which is economic NPV, which is net present value, and economic IRR. As I said before, it is internal rate return. Then as distribution analysis, we have to look at the present value of impact on stakeholders. Then we have risk analysis, probability of an acceptable outcome of which indicators above. Okay, so this one we were gonna continue next week because it's a lot, because we have to look at, as you see here, a calculation and choosing 3 different projects. Why did we choose one of it? What are the considerations? But I'll go to slide 52 and I'll show you something, because we talked about net cash flow. Let's go to 52. Yep. So as you see, this is a financial analysis or incremental financial flows statement. So as you see here, there are a lot of inputs. In receipts, this part, I don't know if you see my cursor, there is port revenue, local. These are the things that we receive, the cash. Port revenues foreign, the total port revenue, rental income on the container yard 1, and also we have the 2, other income and US aid grant and government contribution and liquidation value. So as you see, in any project you are funding, right? So when you fund the project, there is no any year 1 contribution, but this is actually revenue coming to you. So year 1, we didn't have any of those blank ones. We had the other income, which is 69, as you see, and US aid grant, the government contribution is added here. And in the second year, we start to have 3,000 from the rental income on the container yard 1. And also the other also remain. The government contribution on this was higher than the first year. So you see all the inputs. So here we start to see revenue from port revenue, local and foreign, the total port revenues. So we start to see, but here the difference is we didn't have any government contribution because we were good on this years. We were becoming financially good in this project. So when we see the expenditure, we were actually spending investment cost non-tradable. This was the first year expenditure. As you see, then we had we didn't have any operating cost in this till 4th year. Then we had on the 5th year operating cost, could be utility, rental, a lot of that cost that actually allows you to be in the business that you need to pay. Then we have loss of rental income from the term sheet. This is what we spent, the loss that we had. It's constant throughout the 15th year. Then we had here account receivable and account payable in here. We will explain this to the next lesson, but what I wanted to show you today is net cash flow, because we talked about net cash flow. So on the net cash flow, what we did was we actually the expenditure, cash outflow minus cash in, it gives us the net cash flow. It's the same thing we did here. That's the meaning of cash flow or net benefit or net cash flow. It's the same thing. So we will calculate the out minus the in cash flow. That's why we got here. So when you see it on the spreadsheet, you will be more understanding than theory. So, but this is the practical part of net cash flow. So for today, we're gonna stop here, and in the next lesson, we're gonna continue, and we're gonna look at different projects, and we'll just see why did we choose this, why did we not choose that, and we'll be able to compare in the next lesson. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Yuri. That was phenomenal. That was incredible. So, I just want to add one or two things. So, you might be wondering, like, how am I going to implement this? Yodi, can you please go back to the product life cycle? You remember the day you shared this with me? I told you to send
Yes.
it to me right away.
Yeah,
The
I
product
know.
life cycle. So, you might be asking yourself, like, how do I implement this? Trust me, most of the projects fails because they do not have the right information or the right technique that can equip them to manage their project. Trust me, what you have in front of you right now, this project cycle will help you. And how can you apply it when you're about to start a project? Trust me, if you go to any business consultant today, they're gonna ask you question from the formula they have. You are the one that's still gonna provide them the question, and they're gonna just work based on the answers you give them, and they will present everything to you, and you're gonna pay 15 grand for that. So the idea of a project means, like, the initiation of the project, which is the project purpose. You have to define the project purpose, the objective, the scope, and when it comes to feasibility part, feasibility study is very critical and is an important technique. Feasibility study can be like, is the likelihood of a project, maybe it's gonna be a successful project or it's gonna fail. So that is feasibility study. And this feasibility study includes, like, they're gonna, it includes like market analysis, technical part, the financial feasibility, the operational feasibility, the legal and regulatory compliances, organization feasibilities. If you are able to go through this slide and start asking yourself one by one, by the, when it comes to idea, there's an explanation for that. Ask yourself and push this question to the project you're about to start. If you are able to answer each question, the idea, and you are able to define it, the concept of your project, the purpose, when it comes to project preparation, when it comes to planning, when it comes to implementation, which means execution of the project, if you are able to answer this question one by one, trust me, by the time you are done with this project cycle, you will have the complete information that will guide you, and this will typically reduce your project. Maybe you have to embark on that project or not, because it's gonna give you, like, the required information that you needed for the project, to get the feasibility study of that project. So once again, what you have to do is just, by the time we share this slide, so we're still gonna go into some calculation next week. So there are a lot of calculation, like the formula to apply. It's not like you're gonna be doing some math. It can be some math, but the formula to use that you can apply to get the exact technique and how to apply them. So I beseech you to, please use this. I've started using it since the day she shared this with me. I immediately, I started implementing that to any of my project, and trust me, this is gonna help you a lot. So, but next week we're gonna dive into the technical part and the calculation, how to the formula that those business consultants would use for you. So we're gonna go into that and how they can apply it. I think we're gonna go through the DCF as well, right?
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna look
because
at in any aspects. Yeah.
yeah, so we're gonna look into this year, which is this kind of cash flow. So how you can like we are not diving into it's just to equip you whenever you wanna start or embark on any project. And with this information, so you will know that this info about risk management as well, how to manage the risk, how to reduce it. so you can reduce it and then manage it. So that's two things: reduction of risk and management of risk. So these are incredible techniques that if you apply it diligently, and I'm very sure your project is gonna stand out. So thank you once again, Yudu, for sharing this beautiful, you know, information and topic with us. And if we have anyone who have question or they want to add one or two things, so we can accept, two or three contribution or addition or subtraction. So
Yeah,
I
we
welcome anyone.
before that, Ken, you reminded me there was this entrepreneur was talking in Ethiopia that he actually asked different entrepreneurs to bring their idea to him, and he will help them to implement the project if he likes it. So what he was saying was, most people think that idea is the succeed the last part of project, and so they will bring their idea, and he invited them to speak on the stage, but they were not willing to speak because they said, oh, what if somebody stole my idea, you know? Like, the hardest part is project implementation, not even idea. Anyone can have any idea. Tomorrow your idea will have another competitive idea. So, but to pass this 3 stage we talked about, especially the project preparation, feasibility study, financing, and idea, and just implementing it, you're doing great, to be honest. Then after that you have to work on an operation. So I just wanted to add this. If you guys have any question, you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
I suppose since I'm not sure exactly who is in here, but if you think about it, even if you do not have a project in mind, on a personal level, say someone is intending to buy a car or house, or leasing versus owning, for instance. There are decisions. You may not think that there are a lot of financial decisions involved. For instance, here in Boston, where I live, we have a housing shortage. So the state is passing zoning laws to allow communities to basically open their municipalities to to low income, like high risers, like first, second level duplex or multifamily, to basically allow more housing in the community. Well, there's an economic cost for those local municipalities to consider. Some rich people do not want two people living near them because it's going to devalue their assets. And at the same time, we have a housing shortage. Even if you don't think that you don't have an idea, finance is a very important subject to understand. And if you learn to apply it to your personal life, then from a business perspective, it would also make sense. When the next time you approach a project and you do a deep dive on the project you're investing, this would help you to evaluate whether or not, the next time you either make money or lose money on a project by learning to ask a lot of questions. The entire slides from all this thing has been a bunch of questions asked. Know the proper questions to ask towards the project. I know I'm a little bit all over the place, but there's reason for it, because personally, this can also be beneficial in making certain economic decisions pertaining to your own household.
Thank you, French, for your contribution. We really appreciate it, and those are really, really good example to look at it as well. Anyone who wants to contribute?
Jordi, you sped through that so quickly. It was so fast, and there's so much in there. Are you studying this yourself in college?
Yes, actually, my background is from economics. I study economics. Actually, I have 1 semester to go, and I will be graduating. But this is actually extra course that I'm taking, because it's related with my department. Why I actually did it fast, because this is actually a highlight explanation for next lesson. So we will look at it each and everything. So if you talk about like the NPV in the NCF, it has its own definition, and we need to look at it a technical way, because knowing the theory, it doesn't help a lot,
Yes,
but
yes,
mostly
yes.
in calculation, it will help you to understand.
Yes, it's good to get used to the the verbiage, and it was a great overview. Really, really great. A lot covered in a short time, so well done. It's something that if you were going to do a project, you have everything laid out for you, and of course then you'd have to go into it in a lot more detail, and each part would have to be studied in detail. But it's very good. That was excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Maura. So today's lesson was actually, this is the one that I'm sharing on the screen, which called project cycle. We just need to know this today. So on the next lesson, we will talk about the net present value, the net cash flow value. So we need to understand. I will share this slide as well to you guys in your email. Then you will look at it, the question, each step they're asking. What does the ex post evaluation ask? What does the feasibility studies ask? So if we are able to answer those questions, we are, in the right path.
Yeah. So I believe, next class is going to be more of a practical one so that we can apply it. I think we're going to do something like a case study of a project.
Yeah, we have we have already tested.
Yeah, so we're gonna do something like a case study of a project. So, and we're gonna implement all this technique, all this formula, and see, how it helps the project. So how the technique have been applied to study the feasibility of the project. So I think from here we can call it a day, and we'll be seeing you guys. We will be seeing you guys next week. Please, and we're gonna share this today, right? Or tomorrow?
If you guys drop us your email in the chat before we end this, it would be really great, so we can share this to you guys.
So we're gonna do that. We're gonna share the slide with you. So, and yeah, by next week we're gonna go through the case study, and we're gonna implement all this technique to see how it works. So if you guys would just drop your email before we leave. So we do have some emails with us already, so but we're still gonna
Till then, anyone who wants to ask a question, I'm happy to repeat, to explain more.
What about Jordi, protecting your IP? Let's say, is that included in something like this? You have an idea, and maybe it's a technical, or how do you protect your idea? Is that part of all of this analysis and the long-term viability of a project? Does that get included in this analysis?
So in this analysis, the main thing that we are trying to review is if it is a bad project, we need to stop it. If it is a good project, we need to prevent it from being destroyed. Because, like, for instance, having idea, as I said, is like if you share it with somebody without doing this whole work, especially the pre-feasibility study and feasibility study, it's not. So, but this investment appraisal doesn't look at that way. It's not like to protect your idea. It's actually from how do you manage your risks, to reduce the risks, and is it like, can you budget, can you finance this project, is it worth it? Because today, if I have $1 million and if I want to do something, it doesn't mean that I should do it. What are the risks, the economic analysis, and the actually inflation? So what we were looking at was the other day, let's say I get a loan from a bank, right? So inflation actually helps you to pay your loan back, because that inflation will affect the real price. So what were you borrowed yesterday, and what are you going to pay in the future? So this all input will be actually added or included in the project investment, appraisal. Most of the time they actually use it to do, let's say, water dam project analysis. How should we, As you see here, application of integrated appraisal for bulk water supply project, which we're going to look at this next week. So it's very important to understand financially wise, stakeholder wise, who are those people benefiting from this project, economic wise. So these are the stage that investment appraisal use.
Okay. Yes, I understand. Thanks, Jordi.
You're welcome. Anyone who want to contribute? Not only question. If you guys contribute, we'll be so much happy. Okay.
Well, okay. I think we can.
Then we will stop here. Thank you guys for joining us today. We really do appreciate you.